would have been bad. There we go. All right, one time for your mind, baby. Episode 2 of the Rap with Plat podcast. I am your host, Chuck Platinum. We are in the building. Thank you for everybody that's tuning in on our Facebook Live, on our YouTube Live, man. This is a special one right here. Record Breakers Radio presents the Rap with Plat podcast, man. Listen, I have a very, very special guest in the building. She is near and dear to my heart, man. I've known her damn near all my life, and there's a reason why I brought her onto the show today, because she's a very, very special individual, and I respect her highly for what she brings to the community, what she brings knowledge wise, and also, you know, she's an entrepreneur in the corporate world, and she's doing big things in the Forex market. All right. So without further ado, because I know y'all been waiting for me for a while, you know, all my live members, I do appreciate that. But we are on deck, of course. So I'm going to bring my girl, JA'nell Ellison, in the building. Let me go ahead and get her on deck right now. What's up, JA'nell?
What's up, Chuck Platinum?
What's going on, baby? How you doing? How you doing? Welcome to the Rap with Plat podcast, man. I really appreciate your time. This is a very special podcast for me today, because I'm giving somebody some flowers that I really respect and I really admire. And it's just such a pleasure and an honor to have you here today on the Rap with Plat podcast. So what we're going to do, without further ado, we got a few people that's tuned into the building right now. Let's just introduce who you are, and let my people and your people, because they know who you are, but I want my people to know who you are and why you rapping with Plat on the Rap with Plat podcast. Let them know who you are.
I am. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm JA'nell Ellison. I'm originally from the Bronx, New York, but I've been residing in the Carolinas for the last 15 years. And I am a mom. I am a businesswoman as well as an entrepreneur.
I love it. That's right. Mama love, right? And shout out to baby boy, you know what I'm saying? That's actually he's near and dear to my heart. Shout out to my brother, you know what I'm saying? Love him dearly. So where you from? Where you from? You tell them where you from. You
Come
know
on,
what I'm
I
saying?
see you got that Bronx hat on. You know I'm from the
Yeah,
Boogie
exactly. That's why I'm telling them, you know what I'm saying? We gotta really understand who's on deck here. All right,
Down.
representing the Bronx, New York. That's right. All right, we in the building. All right. So, so you're originally from the Bronx?
Yep, I'm originally from the Bronx, and I
Oh
lived a few
shoot.
places, but I'm originally from the Bronx. I resided in New Jersey, lived in Illinois as well. So I guess that's why I'm a world traveler now. I'm traveling around the world, doing as much traveling as I can.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that too, cause you be out of here. You know what I'm saying? I done seen you. You done been across the Mediterranean, all over the place. You know what I'm saying? We gonna talk about how you be doing that too. You know, because I want people to get in tune with this. This is a very, very serious episode right here, because this episode is gonna talk about a lot of different things. We're gonna get into, you know, some financial, generational wealth talk. Get into, you know, a little bit about your history and how you got into that. But what I wanted to start with is I want to talk about a little bit about coming up in the Bronx. You know, coming up in the Bronx, New York, as you know, in our times growing up in the Bronx, it wasn't easy. A lot of different things in our environment happened. We was, you know, coming out of, you know, different things that made our environment torn down. It was looking crazy back in the day. You know, coming up in that environment, tell me a little bit about your influences and coming up in the Bronx, and how did you get to this point of where you're at right now, based on, you know, being in the environment that you grew up in.
Well, one thing is my mom made me come in the house when that light hit the street. When that light came on, that means you
I
better
know
be in
that's
the
right.
house.
That's right. That's
So
right.
I was a pretty decent kid. I was kind of mature early, so I didn't get into much trouble. So it was
Right.
very, very, very rare. So my mom kept us occupied doing things. And again, like I said, I was mature at a younger age. So I kind of stayed out of trouble. Just always kind of was trying to figure out what my dreams and my goals were going to be and how I was going to pursue those things. So it
Right.
wasn't too bad. You just do what you got to do.
I
And one
totally
thing
am.
about being from the Bronx, New York, you are either going to drive yourself to do what you need to do, or either you're going to get left behind. And I plan on not being left behind.
I know that's right. I seen the whole neck move when you said that. I'm not gonna be left behind. That's right, cause we not leaving no kids behind in the Bronx. Some of them got to get left behind. Some of them got to be beat when they're behind. Cause I still do believe in spankings. Um, but big shout out to your mom. Love her nearly and dearly. She recently passed, correct?
Yes, she just passed away late Mother's Day evening into the next day.
Yeah,
So thank
yeah.
you.
Shout out to your moms, man. She was a definite loving spirit. I do appreciate the time that I got to spend with her. A lot of laughs, a lot of laughs with her, a lot of good times, and always made me feel loved. Nearly and dearly. So I just wanted to definitely give a big condolences to your family, and big condolences and sleep in peace to your moms. How big of an influence was your mom's in your life? Like, what? Tell us a little bit of stories about coming up with your moms, and being around your moms.
My mom was a big influence because she had four girls. And with four
It was for
girls,
y'all.
yeah, it was four of us. So with four girls, the good thing is I was the oldest, or next to the oldest, so I got much love and respect. But with girls, you just you just don't know what to expect because girls are gonna. I guess it's no different than being with boys. You're gonna duke it out. You're gonna have your good times. You're gonna have your bad times.
Right.
But we had a lot of love and respect for each other, and as sisters, we are each other's best friends.
I know that's right, and I do see that you guys are very close,
Mhm.
and tight knit, and of course, being in different age brackets, I'm sure that brought its own challenges growing up. And you
Mhm.
said that you're the second to the oldest, right?
Yes,
Oh,
second to the oldest of my mother's children. Mhm.
nice, nice, nice. I
Mhm.
love it. I love that. So so coming up, I know that you have you know been as long as I've known you, and we talking almost 30 years. Um, you was always in the corporate world. From
Yes.
the time that I've known you, and the time that moms, met moms at the job, y'all was in the
Mhm.
corporate environment then. Um, what got you there? How did you get from being in the Bronx, right, where you could have been a product of your environment, right? But we know that you had a great upbringing with your mom. How did you get from the Bronx to corporate world? How did you
I
get
got
there? Let's.
I got into the corporate world at 18.
Mm,
So right out of high school, maybe 2 months after I graduated from Martin Luther King in New York, I actually wound up getting in corporate, and I've been in corporate for over 30 years, as you mentioned, well over 30 years. And that's how
right,
I got into the corporate world. Actually, a family member was working at a bank. So I actually started out in the banking industry, and I was doing billing and collections. I did that for about 9, 10 years. And
right.
eventually I had to figure out what did I want to do differently to get out of that.
And what was that path for you?
Mm,
What from the banking industry? Because that's where you met moms at, right?
hmm
Being in the banking industry and collections, she hated that too. Um, definitely a
Nobody wants to
nerve
tell call
wracking.
somebody about their past the bill.
Yeah, she the stories that she used to tell me as a kid, man, was really like heart wrenching when she was like, I had to call a 90-year-old lady and tell her that she owes such and such and such, and she's like, listen, I'm gonna die anyway, so you could go ahead and try to collect whatever you gonna collect from me, and as a kid, I thought that was mean and vicious. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow.
Well,
Um, but corporate 9-10 years in the banking industry. So what did you get into after that? Because we're gonna talk about that because that actually came around full circle for you in
yeah,
another way. So we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But what was the next thing that led you from? Because I'm really talking about this journey, and the reason why I'm bringing up your journey is because this is one of the things that I pride you for in knowing you, is coming from where you come from and being such a classy, like you super class, like you super mad fun, but like people that super classy, super like straight up doing what you do, and like to me, you're like an epitome of a sister. You know what I'm saying? Like a successful sister. You know what I'm saying? You ain't had a whole bunch of. Not saying having a whole bunch of kids is bad. I'm not saying that, but you stayed on the path. You had one son, did your thing. You know what I'm saying? So from that path of banking, where did you go from there? I don't want to lose track.
I went to college. I went to college. I was in the banking industry. I decided I wanted to go to college. So I started taking these offline college course university classes through Cornell University. I obtained about 18 credits. And then I decided I wanted to do more and do better for myself as well as for my son. So then I started actually decided to go full time and went to Mercy College. And that's where I started pursuing my degree. I got an associate's degree. And then eventually I said, you know what? I'm going to get ahead and do this bachelor's. I'm going to knock this out. And I did an accelerated program for adults, and your classes change every 5 weeks. So I was able to obtain my bachelor's degree in 1 year. So knocked that
Wow.
out, and I got into the IT because I had that degree that allowed me to get into the IT industry. And that's what I've been doing from 2000 to present, being in the IT industry,
That's
working for
amazing.
another financial company, a huge company called Bloomberg. And that's how I started learning about IT. They because I had my college degree, allowed me to learn while I was earning that skill set at the same time, which is
Wait,
important.
wait, 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 wait. So we're not gonna blow past this and just act like Bloomberg is some, you know, this ain't no thrift store we talking about. We're talking about like the Michael Bloomberg, right? Like, New York City
Absolutely.
mayor that was mayor for like mad long, super billionaire Bloomberg. Okay, so your IT started at Bloomberg's company. His
Yep.
Fortune 1000 Bloomberg. This is Michael Bloomberg you're working for. How the heck did you get with Bloomberg? That's crazy. Wow.
College
I
degree.
didn't
Yep.
now. All right, now I ain't even know
Yeah.
that.
Yep. My college
Wow.
degree. I had, when I was working in the banking industry, I saw the opportunity for information technology and I kind of wanted to learn it. And I knew that technology would take me to another financial level that I wasn't able to get at where I was at or what I was doing in my career. So that gave me the opportunity. I applied and I did my interview, and I was already a supervisor at that time for another company. And one of the questions the person asked me that was interviewing me, my before he became my manager, well, why would you take this job in IT? It's kind of like a step down. You're a supervisor. Your next opportunity would be a manager. And I was in my late 20s at that time. And I said, because I have a skill set and I have a drive, and that I'm going to give myself a 5 year plan. And if I'm able to move forward, great. If I can't, at least I have the skill set, and no one can take that skill set away from me.
I
So I
know
can
that's right.
always have another opportunity for another leadership role. I'm more focused on learning the career change and having that opportunity. That was important to me.
I love that. I love that. And you said that you started in the IT industry in about 2000, right? In year
Yes.
2000. Okay, so how did you know? Because I have another person that I definitely look up to. Shout out to my guy Tariq. He actually does IT out in the Congo for the United Nations. He's an IT tech out there, and he's been doing that almost 20 years. And I watched him, and he used to teach me certain things, and I'm like, sometimes I kick myself in the ass because like music was my thing, and he used to have me building computers and all of this, which I'm very knowledgeable, thank you to him. But what made you get into the IT industry? Like IT is still and it's going to continue to rise as one of the top industries because technology is going to keep on developing. What did you know about IT then that made you get into that particular industry? Because with that, you and even talking, because there's a whole conclusion to this, even talking about your later progressions in success, that in itself was like knowing Microsoft was gonna work in the beginning. So in a year of 2000 where the technology is not necessarily there yet, but it's going somewhere, what made you choose that industry over, where you was in a whole different industry like finance? What made you transition to that?
Money.
Hey, the almighty dollar. You know what? I ain't mad at you on that. You see all this? That's why I invite the people that I invite. That was some real shit right there. Say that again. Why you did it?
Money.
Hello. Hello. Love that answer.
The
Shit. All right.
challenge.
That was the end of the interview. Wrap it up right there. Nah, just joking.
Money and the challenge. I love a challenge.
Right.
IT
That's
will
cool.
challenge you every single day. It still challenges me. And I've
Mm-hmm.
been doing this for 21 years. It's still a challenge because IT is so broad. So as you go into other avenues or other departments, you have to still learn that skill set that you don't have.
Right.
So it's always a challenge. And I love customers. I like dealing with people. So with IT, you have to deal with people. I don't like being in the background, quiet behind the computer. I like interacting and talking to people, resolving issues. So it's a
Right.
challenge.
So you're a solution oriented person.
Always.
You like to go for the resolution. How important is that in a success path? Because there's a reason why I'm bringing up this path for your success and leading up to the present, because when you're doing certain things, right?
Hmm.
Even if you change what your direction is going to be or whatever that narrative is going to be, there's still a certain kind of attitude, I believe, and a certain kind of drive that you have to succeed. Let's talk about that a little bit. What are some of your whys, and what's the reason why in the year 2000 you said this is money and I have to take this, and this challenge is going to get me to the next level? Because that's how I think when it comes to certain things, and people wonder, well, how can you do this and this and this and this? Is because it's a challenge to me. It's a challenge to learn something new. So why don't you talk about that? Talk about the mindset that you had. Okay, it was about the money, but when you went into your first IT job at Bloomberg, what was your mindset when you first stepped in on your first day?
What the heck am I doing? Because it's a male dominated industry. At
Not
that
thank
time,
you. I'm see we opening up doors. Talk about that.
it is a male dominated industry, especially in 2000. And I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I was willing to learn. They were willing to teach me. They were willing to pay me to learn. So
Mm,
I was up for the challenge to learn. I wanted to earn and learn at the same time. And
right.
I mean, it's a great, I mean, to learn what people were doing and
Mm-hmm.
dealing with those type of people that were traders and brokers and learning the industry. It was just so much to learn. So I
Right.
was just like a kid willing to learn. I wasn't a kid, I was a grown woman, but I needed it for myself, but I also needed it for my son. My son needed to know that his mom can do almost anything she desires.
I love this. This is too inspiring for me. So, how long did you stay at Bloomberg?
For 5 years.
Five
I
years.
had that
What
5 year
was the
plan.
okay, okay. See, this is why I love you. This is what I'm talking about. This y'all. This is why I invited her for my second episode. I hope y'all see the major keys that's going on right now, and y'all gonna see who else I invite to this show. But I only invite prominent people that I know personally because y'all gotta understand that the Rap with Plat podcast is all about who inspires me, right? And these are the people that I select. Like, you can't just come on the Rap with Plat podcast and say, yo, can I get on your podcast? No. These are people who are in the background. Janelle's doing what she's doing. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to even tell you what she's doing right now. You know what I mean? They see it, they see it. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm trying to tell you is that she's a very, very important person for a reason, and somebody that I learned from, because these are the type of people that you got to have around you. So, with that being said, Bloomberg, right? What's the biggest lesson that you learned working this in and having your first real career opportunity, like super career opportunity? I know you said it's a male dominated industry, but what was something that you took from that when you decided that it was time for your next thing to go on to? And what was the next thing that you went on to?
Um, I was driven because it was a challenge. It was a challenge for me. So I needed to practice and study. I needed to be more hands on when I was learning. So I was out in the field sometimes because I requested to be out in the field to learn,
Right. Right.
understanding how to set up routers, how to set up a whole network, for
Mm.
customers and having redundancy. So if one router went down and those customers were on that router, how it would fail over to the next router and stuff like
Wait, wait,
that.
wait, wait. So you wasn't just in the office. You're telling me
Oh, no.
that you was out in the field actually with the technicians out there actually doing the footwork.
Oh, yes.
That is amazing. Y'all hear this? That is amazing. Wow. See, now this is why I do stuff like this. That cuz I didn't know that. Wow. So you
See?
was out there with them learning. So you was driven to learn the field aspects and not just stay behind the desk. I hope y'all catching all these jewels, man. Look, we only 20 minutes in. I still got another 20 to 30 minutes to go, and we ain't even hit the ceiling of the jewels yet. We still on the ground floor. But if you're watching this today, I hope you're getting what she said. You said that you had the opportunity, right? Because you got hired for something different, right? You got hired for the corporate aspect, not the technical necessarily. You definitely have to have, of course, the knowledge, right? But you were actually in the field as well as doing the behind the scenes too.
Yeah, I started out as level one support. So level one support
Mm-hmm.
allowed me to work with brokers and traders. So when they were trading and they were having any kind of technical difficulties with their Bloomberg terminals, we would troubleshoot that. So I moved
Mm.
on to tier three. With tier three, I started working with the technicians out in the field. So when the technicians were out in the field and they would get stuck, they would need assistance or parts or whatever. We would actually troubleshoot and help and guide them whenever they would get stuck. We would do testing with the telephone companies and stuff like that.
Mm.
So that's what I was doing. But I also wanted to have that hands-on experience. So I wanted to be out in the field just as much because when I'm working with the technicians, I want to be all in stock for them when they were getting stuck. So I would go out in the
Right.
field and I would install the whatever I needed to install and troubleshoot it, whatever I needed to troubleshoot. Vendor meets with telco, router installs, computers, that pertain to the Bloomberg terminals, everything.
Right. So you wasn't just wiping foreheads and bringing lemonade.
Nope, I
You was
did my
out there
own
actually.
cables, everything.
I love it. This is awesome. That is so fire. Wow. So all of this just because, so this actually just took you down the rabbit hole. You just is out, you Alice in Wonderland this, right? You just went and you drove and you went down the rabbit hole and you went to tier 1, went to tier 3. You're now out there, you're working with the technicians, you have this know-how. Now, how important is that? let's go from 2000 to 2005 ish. How important is the information that you knew then now, even though things kind of change, right? So I'm gonna bounce now, but we're gonna go back. But let's bounce now. So learning that from where you learned, how important is that information right now, having that drive, and how do you apply that right now in your current situation? We're gonna get current, but how
Okay.
does that apply now?
It applies in two different ways. One, it applies to me being in management in the IT industry and leading a team of intelligent engineers to do what they need to do. So it allowed me to have that skill set and to be able to guide them with the years of experience growing up as a leader in teaching and learning and developing myself. So that's one way. The second way that it allows me is because I'm an entrepreneur. So at the time when I was at Bloomberg, I knew that brokers and traders made a lot of money, but I
Mm,
thought that you needed a lot of money to learn that skill set. And it was the information was in front of me, but I wasn't focused on that because I was a single mom. And when I mean single mom, I mean
right,
financially, educationally, spiritually. So I had to really run home and kind of just get to my son and make sure he was fine. So I didn't really
right, of
have that
course.
drive to really learn the trade or to pursue it. Well, here I am now as an entrepreneur. Now, not only am I trading, but I'm also teaching it to people that are outside, all doesn't matter, all walks of life. Doesn't matter where you come from, what age, even down to 13-year-olds, where I'm teaching them how to trade with one of my partners.
And we definitely going to get into that because that's the biggest part of that episode. I don't want to feed them the dessert yet. They still got to get these vegetables because sometimes people don't like the vegetables, but we going to eat the vegetables first because y'all really
Mhm.
have to understand. And the reason why I'm bringing up Janelle's history is because a lot of people ask me about success, right? And they always ask me, well, how do you become successful and how are you able to do A, B, C, and D? And the reason why I invited you, Janelle, is because I wanted to show people that, there's a certain mindset that you have to get to the places that you want it to be, right? And the first person that I thought of, because me and you are always on the same page, you always giving me pointers, I'm giving you pointers, we build quite often as a mastermind team of our own, like just with two people.
Mhm.
So that's why I wanted to bring that present into the past, right? So you worked at Bloomberg, right? And then you moved
Mhm.
on 5 years later. You moved on 5 years later. What was the next thing that you got into? Like major. It doesn't have to be any small, but what was the next major thing that you got into after Bloomberg?
I was 2 years in the cable industry as a supervisor, leading the team.
Okay. So now you're going from this working with these engineers to now you're growing into team leadership.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yep. Started leading a
Mm.
team of customer service reps and technicians that were troubleshooting the cable and internet in the cable industry. So I did that for about 2.5 years.
Mm.
And I did that in New York. And then that allowed me to relocate to the Carolinas and do that there.
Got you. Got you. Okay. All right. So now we in a team leading position, right? So now that leads on to the next chapter. Team leadership. When you're transitioning into a management position, how important is it to learn the skill of not just leadership, but kind of leading a team? Because I'm actually in that position right now.
Mhm.
That's where I'm at in my management position in my career in my corporate side of the world. How
Mhm.
important is the development? And once you develop yourself as a team, once you develop yourself as a leader, how important is it that the team leadership is the next level up? Because you know where I'm going with all of this. I know
Mhm.
you're very intelligent. I know you know where I'm going with this, and it's gonna be a wonderful conclusion. Let's talk about that team leadership. We not we and being in the cable industry, you don't have to get into too much about the cable industry as itself, but I wanna learn more about your mindset going into the team leadership position?
Well, remember, I was doing that. I was already a supervisor at the previous company before I went to Bloomberg, but I changed my
Right,
career
right,
path.
right, 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 right.
So now I was given the opportunity to change my career path, learn the IT industry as much as I could from 2000 2005, continued that path, but now moving into the cable industry and leading a team of customer service reps and technicians to be able to assist and help customers that were having issues with their cable or internet at the time. So
Right.
that allowed me to get ahead and become a supervisor again and start to lead a team of team leads and engineers and technicians.
That's awesome, man. That's really awesome. So all of that development, right,
Mm-hmm.
leads you into this path of entrepreneurism, right? So let's talk a little bit about your humble beginnings in being an entrepreneur. I remember those days. I remember
Mm-hmm.
those days loud and clear.
I used to
I
call
was
you with
kind of,
questions.
yes. I was dabbling in it. Had some success in the certain company. We ain't gonna give them no names right now, but and here you come. Didn't know. You was dabbling your hands around the same time, figuring things out for yourself. So let's talk about the humble beginnings of transitioning from the corporate world into your entrepreneur skill set of where you at today. Because now you have about a decade in as a more as an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur. Let's talk about those humble beginnings.
Wow. Each individual is different. It depends on what you're pursuing as far as entrepreneurship. It's all the same, no matter how you look at it. We all buy and sell, right? We buy something, somebody's going to sell it to us. So that's all it is. You're sharing information of a product or a service that somebody actually wants. That's what entrepreneurship is. But it's also learning the skill set of how to be able to market to your clients and obtain your clients no matter what industry, whether it's a traditional business or whether you're doing something with network marketing as far as entrepreneurship. So I started dabbing into that, trying to figure it out. And but when you kind of like, even though I was leading a team of people globally around the world, I was still somewhat of an introvert. And when you, it's hard to be an introvert and be an entrepreneur. And I had to develop and get
Hmm.
myself out of a
Ooh.
habit so you have to be able to accept the word no. If you don't accept the
Ooh.
word no, you got to go through 100 or 1,000 no's to get to the yeses. And
Oh,
you
we
have to
getting into the
have
juice
some thick
already. Okay,
skin.
this is
Yes,
this
you
is what
gotta
we doing right now. Okay, all right, let's talk about it, sister. Let's talk about it because you about to get into the. All right, let's go. Let's go. I'm with you. I'm walking with you. Let's go.
you have to have that thick skin, because if you don't have that thick skin to accept the word no or rejection, as you may look at it, as some people may look at it as rejection, you're only going to go but so far. And that's in
Right.
anything that you do. That's even at
Correct.
work. That's in
Correct.
personal relationships. You have to accept the word no from time to time and not be offended by it, because
That's right.
you just can't be offended by it. And it took me years to accept no's. I didn't want to
Hmm.
hear no. I didn't like that word. I felt rejected.
Right.
And no one likes to be rejected, but sometimes you have to go through that in order to get to the next level. Not
That's
everybody's
right.
gonna like, if you cook something for someone, you may like it, your mom may like it, but somebody else may not like it. You can't be offended by that.
That's right. You can't be offended by that at all. And
Hmm.
one of the first things that I learned, because entrepreneurism has always been a part of my life, with my grandfather, my father, born entrepreneurs. But I wanted to take it to the next level as far as actually, my pops taught me about business, but it was cash on hand. This is what we're doing. We're using our own labor, but we're creating a service for people that need that demand at that time, which was, of
Hmm.
course, DJing. Um, with that being said, I know that what was some of your struggles in the beginning as an entrepreneur? What was some of the things that made you say, I don't know about this, because those are some of the things that when people are stepping into entrepreneurship, that they struggle with is the start, right? And we different things out, and we try stuff out. So let's talk about before we get to the successes, because we got some successful things to talk about as well in this interview, especially most recently of something that you showed me, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But uh, talk about your struggles as an entrepreneur at first, right? And getting started and getting your feet wet and making that transition from corporate to entrepreneurship.
One, it was because I was still in corporate and still am. So you have to have a balance. You have to have a balance of being able to maintain whatever you're doing as far as your what's paying the bills, your career, your job, whatever you want to call it, as
Right.
well as your entrepreneurship, because now you have to learn another skill set or really understand that product or service that you are presenting to people in order for them to buy it, right? Because you're in business to sell something to someone.
Correct.
So I had to one accept the word no multiple times, which took me years. Two, I had to break out of being the introvert and being willing to step up and talk to people and realize that I'm just sharing things that I like, and maybe they may like it, maybe they may not.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be able to speak up. You have to have a voice, and you cannot be afraid to be in the front of the room. And
Right.
I would dread being in the front of the room just to introduce myself, my name, where I'm located at, because I started having some small little success was considered success in our industry, right? And I'll let
Right.
you talk about that a little bit more. But
Yes.
when you have 10 or more customers, that's success in our industry for a little bit, because some people don't have that. So
Exactly.
so that was a challenge, and but I had to just keep finding what was truly going to be a great product or service, because it wasn't, sometimes I did things for me, but I also did it for my family. Everything that I
Right.
do is for my family. I wanted
Of
something
course.
that would help my family financially and really break some financial struggles that we may have,
Right.
because just because I may make a certain salary, I couldn't teach them that because they didn't really want to get into the IT industry. So I had to figure out what else could I learn and that I can share that will help my family. And that's what took
Mm.
me and led me into a couple of different business opportunities into what made sense.
Got you. Got you. And the important thing is to take from that is uh most people, whether they realize it or not, are like us. I'm an introvert as well. Growing up as an only child, even though I do have siblings from my father, I grew up as an only child, and being introverted was one of my biggest challenges as well. Becoming an entrepreneur and actually stepping out, and it's actually something that I continue to work on, because you know it's easy for us to get in our hole and get in our shells and be able to do things ourselves, even though we're team players. Sometimes I know that I can be very like hands on with everything, and
Mhm.
when it comes to development, you have to stretch yourself and deal with different personalities and things like that. So I can definitely
Mhm.
relate on the challenges that you deal with coming up. Dealing in the coffee industry, I was able to build a business. Never did network marketing before, and that's the next topic I want to talk about as well. Never doing network marketing before, not having experience with that, but understanding the power of networking with a product. You said something very important. You said that it was done for your family, but you had to deal with something that you was passionate about, right?
Mhm.
Um, there was a couple of things that you were involved in. I know you was involved with several companies. I really don't want to spend the time talking about the specific companies, but more about the mindset of going into these opportunities that you've dealt with. So with with that, we you started off in the makeup industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
With a certain company,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Had some success with that. Then transitioned over with me,
Mm-hmm.
which I learned a big lesson from you, because you was right in my circle, and you wound up being introduced to the opportunity with somebody else, which was crazy. But I was able to still mentor you on certain things. Uh, but you know what with this, and we're gonna delve into the network marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What with network marketing, what turns you on to the network marketing industry? Because for me, it definitely was dealing with people, but when I first started network marketing, it wasn't necessarily for the people. I had to get into that part. It was more about me seeing that coffee was a viable product, to give to the masses. So, what was your drive when you got into network marketing? What did you see that said, you know what, network marketing would be the vehicle for me to take me to the next level?
It wasn't. It was the product. I didn't feel that it would take me to the next level. I was I liked the product and I wanted to share that product with people. For instance, like skincare. I mean, I still
Right.
use the skincare till today and I love the product and I will always be a voice for that skincare product because it just does what I need it to do. I've tried many products. So when it was presented to me, I was like, I'm not trying that. This is for old people. No, I'm not doing. But the skin product is amazing. It did what I needed it to do for me because of my skin type, having very dry skin. And so that was my eye opener when I was passionate about something that I really liked. I didn't mind
Talk
talking
about it.
about it. But if I wasn't passionate about something, then I'm zipped. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to be a voice for it.
How
And
important is that? How important is that?
extremely.
Because if you so you're saying that with network marketing, right? Because I'm gonna be a devil's advocate with this, but
Hmm.
this is about you. So I want to know your drive and what your passions was, and then I'm gonna devil's advocate that. So the product is what drove you to do what you do, because you utilize that and you saw it as a value to be able to present it to other people because this is something that you like. And that is a great reason, because really that's how you become successful in the stock industry, and also other industries that we're going to talk about as well. But for me to devil's advocate that, right? I'm not a coffee drinker, never was, didn't really know about the product, right? So my hustle was, hey, you drink coffee? All right, here, try this for me and tell me if you like this. And people was on it, and that's how I succeeded. So with you using the product that you was using, how did that passion ring along with other people, and how did that resonate with other people? Were you able to see success because you was passionate about it, or you know was it any other reason why you was successful at what you was doing? Because you did see success with that product. I know it myself. So what was it that brought you to that successful point with that product? Was it the passion because you was utilizing it? Was people attracted because you was doing it? Was it your influence that did it? What was it that did it for you?
It was the influence and the trust factor that people had with me, and
Hmm.
also because it just looked damn good on me. And two,
Hey, look, hey, I want you to give it raw and uncut. It looked good on you. Hey, that's what's up.
people can see a difference. And also, I would give it away. Like you said, you did that with coffee. I did that with the skincare as well because they had little samples. So I would share that.
Right, right. That's awesome. So now we're gonna move forward. We're gonna move forward into something that I love to talk about, and I'm still learning on a daily basis. I'm getting into it. Let's get into the forex. The forex. I love
Absolutely.
that word. Foreign exchange is beautiful. Is so many facets to it. I get a little intimidated. I ain't going front. Um how did you get started in the forex, and what made you transition from those other industries to get back? Cuz I told you we was going to go from the beginning to the present, right? So this leads you back into the financial industry, right? On a whole different level though, because before it was like collection, but now you're in the entrepreneur into studying how money moves and how currency moves. How did you get into the forex industry?
I got into the forest industry because it was introduced to me. It was introduced to me while traveling. I, it it was something that someone had actually reached out to me on Facebook, and I was like, no, I'm not really into it. But it was another thing. I thought it was a coincidence because my son kept getting all these things about wanting to learn how to trade. So I'm like, okay, I kind of always really wanted to learn how to trade when I worked at Bloomberg, but was in the IT industry and never had the opportunity to do that. So when it was presented to me, I kind of listened to the person, heard the person out, and I was like, you know what? This is a little more cost effective than what I saw elsewhere.
Right.
So, because to learn it, depending on, back then when I got into it about 3 years ago or prior to that, it cost you about $25,000, but it's worth
Mm-hmm.
every penny.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Very
worth it.
expensive.
It's
Right.
Yeah, and it's worth it. But the person who presented it to me that was way more cost effective, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna check it out and see what it's about. But I never heard of Forex. I mean, what the heck is that? I've heard of stocks and stuff like that and options,
Right.
but I don't know what Forex is. So I had to really kind of do my research and learn. And that's where I got into it because someone invited me. And this person was a multimillionaire who actually
That's
reached out to me.
that's dope. So somebody with major influence reached out to you because they felt that you would have the influence and the drive to, learn and have that certain passion which brought you into that industry. Tell us a little bit now that we done got your pass and we're in the present right now. Tell us a little bit about Forex. What is Forex and how does it work a little bit in layman terms?
Okay, so the easiest way to understand it is anyone who travels from the United States to another country, you take your US currency and you exchange it at the airport, at the bank for the currency of that country that you're going to go in, whether it's pesos because you're in a country that utilizes pesos, or if you're in Africa and they use rand, or whatever countries you are exchanging your US currency for theirs. So, but that's not what we physically do. I'm not going to constantly exchange from different countries
Right.
my US currency for theirs. I'm actually trading it the same as I trade stocks. I'm able to trade it utilizing my cell phone or my laptop. And it's just learning the skill set and having someone educate and teach me how to do that. And that's how I got into it and started learning it. And shout out to Chad Thompson for definitely putting me onto it.
Yeah, shout out to Chad. Definitely know Chad very well. Very, very, very successful brother that actually started in the same industry that we all started in. And he became very successful and transitioned into the Forex industry. So now we're gonna draw it all in.
Uh-huh.
With Forex, how important is it for the people who are, just like me and you, working hard, trying to figure out what's the next step in our lives? How is Forex important? Tell them what's the importance of Forex and why is it such a valuable Because I know why it's valuable to me. It's valuable to me because it's something that, once you get it, and I'm still trying to get it. I get the gist, and I've had some successful trades as well. Dealing with you, and you've teaching me very elaborately on how to do certain things, and I was able to teach others, which is
Hmm.
dope. But I want you to talk about how that is like the future and why people should value Forex. Because a lot of people, when I try to explain it to them, they kind of get it, but they
Hmm.
don't understand why we do what we do. So, can you explain to them a little bit about the importance of Forex and why so many people are drawn to this, to this way of trading?
Yeah. The easiest way to say is, again, like I said, you trade in currency, but you can actually trade gold, silver, you can trade oil. So these are great ways of being able to make money without buying gold, because gold is at well over 1,800 right now. So
Right,
instead of buying gold, I look at it as being able to trade it and be able to make some money from it. So that's what's amazing about that. The same thing with oil, you can trade stocks. So once you learn the skill, even though there's a little variance between stocks and currency as well as cryptocurrency as well, that's something else
right,
you can trade. We know that Bitcoin went up as high as what, 60,000. Imagine taking a $1 and having that $1 60,000 when you start to learn the skill set and have the investment into a dollar and being able to do that back then. But if you didn't have 60,000, you can trade it and make money that way. And again, it's just learning the skill set of having someone teach you how to do that. And that's important. And
understood,
it's a skill
understood.
set you'll have for the rest of your life. No one can take it away from
That
you.
that's a fact. That's a whole fact. Um, Also, with that skill set that nobody could take away from you, what do you feel like a person, like say if because I know sometimes people look at it and they say, they think that it's a, kind of a, once they learn a skill set, they out of here. What kind of time frame do you think that somebody like an average person would take to, if they develop themselves and they said, listen, I'm doing this, I'm gonna dedicate myself. How long do you think that it takes somebody to become a master trader? And how do they become a master trader?
One, they have to learn the skill set. One, they have to do the work, meaning that they have to practice, they have to analyze, they have to put the time and effort in. But I can never give a time frame because everyone learns at a different capacity. Some
That's what I wanted to
people,
hear.
yeah, everyone learns at a different capacity. So what might take someone 6 months could take me 2 years, could take somebody else 4 years. But at the end of the day, when you learn the skill set, again, no one can take it from you. And you go from making a couple of dollars to a couple of hundred to a couple of thousand, so forth and so on, depending on your drive and what your goals are.
What's the what you don't have to name the person or nothing like that, but what who, well, not who, but off of Forex, what's the most successful story that you could tell us, like with a Forex trading story, even if it's your own or somebody that you've experienced? Like, what's the most successful story that you could tell somebody about who maybe tapping their feet into it, but they may be a little bit afraid to go all the way in? What's a successful story that you could tell about somebody who's gotten involved in Forex?
What I can say is, because it varies, one of them is myself. I
There you go.
myself, I've definitely been able to have it varies. My trading, like yesterday, I had a $1,500 day where I made almost close to 1,500 for just for the day. Before
Wow.
going to work, before I even started work at 3 o'clock the afternoon, by 12 noon, I made 1,400 for the day. Today, I made 500 for the day before the day ended, and I'm still currently in trades as we speak. But again, I learned from my partner, Eric Barksdale. So shout out to Eric, along with
Yeah,
a couple
shout out
other
to Coach
people.
Eric.
Yes, along with other folks that has shared their skill set with me, which was Jeff and Ruth and so forth. So,
I love it. I love it. Now, I know that there's like with network marketing, now we have like several different companies that have taken this Forex to the next level as far as the educational part. Um, how do you feel about those companies that are with network marketing and merging the network marketing into the Forex? And what are the pros and cons that you feel from maybe going through like a network marketing company where you can, get certain bonuses and stuff like that from teaching people versus somebody who may just want to trade and figure it out for themselves?
um, it's a challenge to learn it for yourself as a newbie. You want to get some basic understanding of it. Once you get some basic understanding of it, you can eventually teach yourself more about it, but you can't ask a lot of questions. There's a lot of free information out there, but you can't ask questions on a YouTube channel, right? So you want to
Right.
be educated by someone that has the skill set. If you want to learn how to buy a house, right, you're going to talk to somebody who's bought a house. Um, so it's the same thing. Anything that you want to learn, you want to make sure you're interacting or engage with someone who has the skill set, and that can be any company or individual, and so forth and so on.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. What do you see as a future in Forex? Do you see a lot of success happening? Do you see that it being an industry that um, people could continue to capitalize off of, or do you see
Mm.
it being like a fad? Like we see certain products fade away. What's the difference between maybe networking a product, whatever product you want to put out there versus
Hmm.
saying educating somebody with Forex?
Um, it's not going to go away. I
Right.
mean, you think about it, trading has been going on for many, many, many decades, so it's not going
Hmm.
anywhere. Forex
Right.
is not going anywhere because as long as we're traveling, we have to exchange, right?
Right.
The banks have to exchange because they're trading as well. So we're never going to get rid of Forex. So it's here, it's going to stay here. Whether the other stuff that's coming up and about, that's something different, but Forex is not going anywhere. So it's not for everyone. Not everyone has the skin to learn it. People that I know that were trying to learn it are no longer learning it at this time, or they're quietly doing it. So, but I'm glad that I continue to pursue learning it on a part-time basis when I had time. I had to put the work in. I had to take the time to learn. A lot of sleepless nights. So that's what I did.
I know that's right. I know that's right. So I appreciate you, Janelle. I really do. I appreciate your time. You definitely gave a lot of jewels today. And, again, the reason why I wanted to bring you on this show is because you're somebody who I deem is very successful. Your journey is something that somebody needs to hear. A young sister coming up in the game, especially I have to say it for people, a young black woman coming up in the game needs to hear this, that you can succeed as long as you have the drive, the tenacity, and the passion to
Right.
get a path going for yourself. The conclusion of the Rap with Plat podcast is you see somebody like Janelle who was in an environment that could have compromised her. She could have been like anybody else, in that particular environment. But with her influences and with her drive and tenacity, she was able to go in several different industries that was able to take her to her industry that she's in now, which she's passionate about. And the reason why I wanted to make sure that I told her story is because there was so many different facets And I wanted you guys to understand success, and that success is going to lead you down so many different paths. And some of those paths you're going to rise, some of those paths you're going to fall. But you have somebody like Janelle who went through different stages in her life to find something that she was passionate about. And this passion is going to lead her to make millions and millions and millions of dollars. And not only her, but somebody like myself who had no knowledge about that industry to be able to do the same thing and teach others in a very short amount of time. So,
Right.
Janelle, I appreciate you so much for all the information and the valuable information that you gave us today. I hope that all of you guys take these jewels, and you, whatever industry you choose, we chose Forex, we chose this. But there's so many things that you can take from these jewels for passion and make it part of whatever you're doing and whatever you're passionate about. So, Janelle, what I want you to do right now is I want you to tell people where they could find you, where they could locate you, and also before you go, you have do you do personal coachings as well, or let's talk about that a little
Yes.
bit before we get up out of here.
Yes. We actually, Eric and I both do coaching. The coaching that we actually do, you can reach me at 973 area code 592-2441. Again, 973-592-2441. Or you can check out our website, which is www.exclusiveprofits.com. That's EXCLUSIVE, forexprofits.com. And reach out to me. Again, just send me a text message, or you can email me at JA'nell Ellison at hotmail.com, and we'll get back to you.
That's what I'm talking about. You see that? So I just gave y'all some jewels. I just put a successful person in front of y'all so that y'all could get these jewels. And she's offering her services. It's not gonna be free. It's not
Actually,
gonna
we
be
do.
free.
We do.
Huh?
We do
Oh,
have
y'all
free
do free?
services. Yeah, we have free services.
Look at
We
that.
are, we
Look
are
at
actually
that. I stand corrected. Talk about it.
we actually do. On Wednesdays, we are teaching free to the community. So again, if you reach out to me at 973-592-2441 and let me know you're interested in learning more about the trading that we're teaching on Wednesdays, is free from 7 to 7:30. And then we do have paid membership for people who do want one-on-one sessions, that personal attention, and then we have group sessions. So we have both.
Look at that. So we just gave you a jewel. You want to make some extra money. You're scared. You might be scared. You might not think that this is something for you. But what I encourage you guys to do is just take a chance, right? You take a chance. Somebody is teaching you something that you don't know. Get to know what's going on. There's a lot of money being traded out there right in front of your eyes. You don't even know that it's happening. People trade while you're sleeping. They're making money while you're sleeping. While you're at work, they're making money. Janelle just made a whole shitload of money on y'all while we was talking, and she's making money right now while we're doing this interview. All right, it's real. Okay, listen,
That's
Janelle.
why I'm looking
I
at my cell
again,
phone.
look, she's looking at her cell phone now, looking at them trades like, hello. All right. Now, the reason why I said that is because I'm personally learning as well. Make sure you get with Janelle. She gave you her phone number. Get in tune. I want everybody to be able to have something that they could fall back on, and not just fall back on, but maybe change your financial life, man. Coach Eric talks about it all the time, man, how he's able to have the time to do what he wants to do for his family and with his family at any time in his leisure. And that's what we want to do. We want to get our time back. We don't want to be in the corporate world forever. Corporate is cool, it pays our bills, but that entrepreneur is going to change our life. All right. Janelle,
Absolutely.
I appreciate you. I love you dearly. I love your soul. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining the Rap with Plat podcast episode 2. I appreciate your time. Any shout outs that you want to give before we get out of here?
Shout out to you, Chuck Platinum. Thank you for having me on tonight. I appreciate it. And I hope this information has been informative. And thank you for being patient with us.
I appreciate that. Listen, Rap with Plat podcast, episode 2. We are out of here. JA'nell Ellison, super entrepreneur, here with Chuck Platinum, man. This has been the illest podcast ever. Rap with Plat podcast. We out. Episode 3. I'll see y'all in 2 weeks because I got to take my daughter down to Spelman. Shout out to my daughter,
Woo,
Jasha. Love
Spelman,
you.
yes,
Yeah, she going to
yes.
Spelman.
I need
Appreciate
a
my
proud
baby.
papa.
You know what I mean? She
Yes.
about to do the nurse practitioner thing. So you go on, baby, and you do your thing. Chuck Platinum, at me at Chuck Platinum, at Rap with Plat Podcast, Rap with Plat Podcast on Facebook, man. We are live and direct. We will see y'all in 2 weeks. Peace.
Have a good night, everyone.